Okay, welcome everyone. We're so glad you could join us. My name is Catherine Sturinsky. I work in the Department of Sustainability. We have launched a new program for county employees, Green Teams. And that's what you'll see on the advertisement for today's meeting. Green Teams are a way for us to educate people about the environment and climate change, and how they can take action in both their personal lives as well as here at the workplace. Green teams will focus on opportunities within their department, building to identify ways that they can operate in a more sustainable and environmental manner. Green team activities will vary based on the teams and the department because all of us do different things for the county. So we really go where the energy goes. But some of these ideas might include identifying ways to reduce how much the department prints to save paper and ink and energy. It could be stocking their break room with washable dishes and utensils so that you're not using single-use throwaway items. Or creating healthy challenges for staff, like biking to work one day a week or taking public transit. So there's lots of different options. And an example of that is our law department green team. And they have developed this webinar today for all employees to benefit from a topic. So the topic they chose was holiday waste reduction strategies. And with that, I'd like to introduce Callie Wartko, the law department's green team lead, who will introduce our featured speaker.
Hi, everyone. My name is Callie. I work in the law department. I'd like to introduce Carin Miller. She is the education specialist for Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District. She is responsible for public outreach, workshops, education seminars, and classroom visits. She also handles compost bin sales for the district. We're very excited to have her here today to teach us how we can assist in reducing waste this holiday season.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into this. So as Callie mentioned, I am with the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District, and we're the public agency that helps our residents of our county reduce, reuse, and recycle at home, at work, and in our communities. And we serve 59 communities within the county. Our offices are located in Garfield Heights. That's the front doors of our offices. So please come visit us sometimes, because I know we're a little removed from the rest of the county administrative departments. So I'm going to start out by talking about we're focusing on waste reduction today. And one of the biggest things that happens during the holidays are big holiday meals and parties. Holidays are very food centric. And so I don't know about you, but my family, we eat a lot of food during the holidays. So a couple of different things to consider when planning your meals and parties. One huge thing you can do is to use real dishes, real silverware, real cups and glasses. It can be very tempting to use disposable things. I know it's a holiday, it's a busy time. You have lots of people coming in and out of your house. But this makes a huge, huge impact by using the real stuff rather than throwing away a lot of paper or styrofoam, plates, plastic cups, etc. So please try to consider doing that. And if you have a dishwasher, you can throw that stuff in the dishwasher at the end. Also consider your decorations for parties and, meals and things like that. So choosing reusable or durable things that you use every year and put away versus, buying new stuff every year. I have always lived in a family with, our family, we always use our decorations year after year, but I have talked to many people who kind of go to the dollar store every year and buy a bunch of stuff. They put it up and then they throw it away at the end. So, choosing to use these reusable things or natural decorations like holiday greenery and things like that is also a good choice rather than a bunch of plastic that ends up getting thrown away at the end of the party. And of course, meals and parties there's food is involved, right? So the main thing I wanted to talk about with holiday meals and parties is food waste. So the average American throws out 1 pound of food per day. And I don't have any data on this, but I would venture to say that during the holidays, even more gets thrown away. So there's a few different strategies you can use to reduce the amount of food waste during your holiday meals and parties. The first one is to plan the amounts of food carefully. My next slide, I'm going to talk more about, there's actually an online tool you can use to do that, but plan, know who's coming to your party, plan the amount of food based on that number of people that are coming, and don't go crazy overboard with lots and lots of food that you're going to then have to deal with at the end of the meal or the party. Have containers ready to send leftovers home with people. This is a great use for, if you're like me, I save, like the takeout containers that I get from my Thai restaurant, favorite Thai restaurant, that they're not recyclable, but I save them to reuse them. That's a nice thing. You can send leftovers home in, and then you don't, the people that you give them to don't have to worry about giving them back to you, but have that stuff ready so that you can pack leftovers up for everybody. You can also get creative with your leftovers, or freeze them. So there are a lot of tools out there about proper food storage. So make sure you educate yourself on how to properly store food so that it doesn't go bad and go to waste. You can freeze a lot of foods to eat them later. But there's also lots of really cool recipes out there. If you search for recipes using leftover vegetables, leftover turkey, leftover ham, things like that, there's lots of soups and other things that you can use to make other meals so you don't get bored with your leftovers too. And then lastly, I really encourage people to compost their food scraps. So there's always some food waste, from preparing foods like your potato peels from making mashed potatoes and carrot peels and all those things. Some of that stuff, we're not eating, but instead of throwing in the trash, composting is a great option. So if you don't want to, you can always backyard compost, which I teach people how to backyard compost. And we also supply composting supplies here that you can purchase at a low cost at the district. If you don't want to do that, we do have a local compost service that you can subscribe to, and you can drop your food scraps off at a drop-off station, or they will, if you pay a little bit more, they'll come and pick it up from your house. That's a company called Rust Belt Riders that will take care of that food waste for you. This is the tool that I was mentioning. So the NRDC has this great program called Save the Food, and they have all sorts of resources on reducing food waste. But this is one of my favorite things that they have. It's called the Guestimator. So what it does is it asks you at the beginning to input the number of guests that you're having. And so it breaks them up by small eaters, average eaters, and big eaters. And then, it totals up your total number of guests. And then you can specify, you can be more generic, like I put in for this just a general dinner party. And this is what it came up with for me. It told me, like, this is the amount of food I would need to buy to feed that number of people. And it lets you put in how many leftover meals that you want at the end of the party also, because a lot of people like leftovers. So you can put 0 in if you want, or you can put 2, or you can put 10, or, like 1 leftover meal per person, whatever you want. And it calculates the amount of stuff that you want. You can get really specific and actually put the exact protein in that you can put turkey in, you can put broccoli, you can put, it gets really specific, and it will dial down and tell you the amounts of food to purchase for your party, which is really cool, because I don't know about you, but that is something that's hard to guesstimate. And we've gotten pretty good in our family, over the years, learned, like, oh my gosh, we always have so many sweet potatoes left over. Maybe we don't need to make so many, but it can be hard to do. So it's a great tool. And I just also wanted to show the EPA just recently updated their wasted food scale. So food waste is a major problem. We're sending food to the landfill. When it goes to the landfill, it does not decompose there. It's more like it rots, and that process gives off methane gas, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. So we want to avoid sending that as much as possible to the landfill. So this is their kind of hierarchy of starting out with preventing the wasted food. So just like I was mentioning about planning your meal appropriately, only purchasing what you need to begin with. And then as you go down like these, it goes from, your best practice down to your what we want to avoid. So if you can't, if you've got leftovers, donating and upcycling. The next kind of stage is, this is on a large scale, not necessarily just in your home, but the next thing that the EPA recommends is that the food waste goes to feed animals or leave it unharvested, then composting, and then applying to the land. And our last option is, sending it down the drain, landfilling it, or incinerating it. So I just wanted to show that as I think it's a cool new scale that they've put together, and it kind of changes the way that you think about food waste. Okay, so transitioning to gift giving. So lots of, we are inundated with stuff in our society, right? And this is a time of year where there's a lot of pressure to give lots of gifts to people. And I love giving gifts. I love seeing people open gifts. But at the same time, I also want to prevent a lot of waste. And so I've put together kind of a list of different ways to think about how we give gifts to other people in our lives. So first one is giving an experience. So this can be a lot of different things. Like we have so many great local museums and the zoo and parks and places like that. So giving a membership, giving classes or summer camps if there's kids, in your life, all of those kinds of things are great gifts to give somebody because it's an experience that they'll have versus just a thing that they'll have that they eventually have to figure out what to do with. Tickets for movies, plays, concerts, sporting events. Again, we are so lucky here in our area. We have so many things to do. I know I would love it if somebody gave me, tickets to the Cleveland Orchestra or something like that. So things like that are great as well. Gift certificates for great local restaurants, spa services, coffee or ice cream shops, local nurseries. Again, depending on what the person loves to do. If they're a gardener, give them a gift certificate to their local nursery. Again, I know I would love getting that. Other classes like cooking classes, crafting, glass blowing. I saw there's blacksmithing classes locally. There's all sorts of cool things like that that you can give to somebody as well. I did that with my niece and nephew last Christmas. I gave my niece a glass blowing class and my nephew a blacksmithing class, and I went to it with them. So we had an experience together. So similar, planning a special day with someone doing something they love. If you've got somebody in your family that loves to hike, let's plan a day that we're going to go hiking and we're going to pack a picnic and have a fun day together. Giving consumables is another thing I love to do. So I like to bake. Not everybody likes to bake, but if you like to bake, make cookies or other holiday treats or jams, jellies, preserves. I know I have a friend who loves to can all the produce from her garden, and she gives that stuff. If you don't like to cook or can or anything like that, there's a ton of local options for other gifting things, food type items. So spices, hot sauce, jellies, jams, chocolates, coffee, all sorts of local, really cool makers around this area. Olive oil, vinegar, things like that that people can use. They're useful things, but maybe buy them a really fancy bottle of olive oil that they might not buy themselves. So it makes it a special gift. Also, normalizing giving secondhand items. So this is huge as well. There are a ton of awesome thrift and vintage antique stores around in our area. They have lots of cool stuff. And you can find something really unique that's, special for a specific person. And it can be really fun to kind of go on a hunt for them. The Facebook Marketplace is another great place to go for that, especially like if you have something specific in mind for somebody, you can search by topic, like, your friend really loves dogs and you can search for dog related items or things like that. eBay is also great, and also buy nothing groups. So if you're not already a member of your local buy nothing group, and if you're not aware of what it is, Buy Nothing is a movement. They're mainly based on Facebook. you search for your local group, and it's meant to be very hyper local. So it's meant to be for your neighborhood. And it's basically a gifting economy. So people give things that they no longer need. And also you can request things that you're looking for as well before you go buy it. I just posted some things on there that I think would be really nice gifts for some people. Like I had a couple of candles, I had a necklace that I no longer wanted and things like that. And some people mentioned that they were going to give those things as gifts to other people. So there are those, that's a great place to look as well. This is kind of an unusual one too, but if you happen to have some great skills like sewing, crafting, home repair, other things like carpentry, and you know somebody could use some help with something, you could gift your services. So you could say, hey, I can hem your pants for you. I can repair something for you. I can, come and install an appliance for you in your house, or, whatever skill you have to offer. Another one that's nice to give is to, if you have family or friends that have young children, you can offer to babysit and pair that with, some movie tickets or a restaurant gift card so they can have a night out. You get to hang out with their kids and have fun, and it's a nice gift to give somebody. And I'm sure there are other ideas like, service type gifts that you could give, gifts of your time. And then lastly, it's still fun to buy new things. I get it. And sometimes people really do need new things, and that's fine. So just something to keep in mind is considering those purchases carefully. So a few things to keep in mind are to choose items that have recycled content, so that we kind of close that loop on the recycling and the circular economy. So look for things that have recycled content. If you want to help somebody become a little bit more sustainable, gifting them things that replace single-use items like a nice reusable water bottle or a travel mug, a reusable straw, some really nice cloth napkins, shampoo and conditioner bars, and fancy soap, hand soap bars instead of liquid hand soap, things like that that are a little bit more sustainable, but it's still a fun gift to give and to receive. And then, other items, think about the complete life cycle of the item. So think about, purchasing things that are durable and useful items that will last a long time. So things like quality tools for your home and your garden and your yard, nice cookware, nice utensils for your kitchen, a good set of knives, things like that, that are going to last a long time, instead of buying something that, it might be a little bit more expensive, but long term, that person might have that for their most of their adult life, if it's a really high quality item. And think about also kind of the full life cycle of the item, as far as like, is it made out of natural materials or recyclable recycled content or recyclable materials? Like, think about the end of the life of the item. How is this person going to get rid of it at the end of its useful life? So try to kind of think about those things when you're making a purchase. Be more mindful about those things. Gift wrapping is also fun to do, and you can be a little bit more sustainable about it. So choosing some recyclable gift wrap is important, but also reusing other things, kind of non-traditional things like newspaper. If you still get the newspaper, I know we get it here at the office. I save the comics section because it's fun and it's colorful, and I wrap presents in that sometimes. If you have kids in your life, they're like artwork, scribbled crayon papers and things like that can be fun to wrap presents in. Using a gift, like another gift, like a scarf or a tea towel or something to wrap another gift, is a nice kind of like 2-in-1 gift. Of course, reusable bags are a great gift, but also a great way to wrap a gift. So you can find a fun, pretty reusable bag, put your gift inside of that. Then they also have a reusable bag to use at the end. There's a method of wrapping papers that's called furoshiki. It's a Japanese method, and they actually make specific pieces of fabric that are meant to be gift wrap, reusable gift wrap, basically. So if you wanted to, you could purchase some really pretty fabric or use something that you already have. And there's all sorts of different methods online, but it's basically like taking a square of fabric, putting your gift in the middle and tying the corners in. And they have some really fancy different ways to tie the corners. This is a real basic one here in this picture at the bottom. You can put things like leaves or like a sprig of pine branch or something like that to make it festive. There's a lot of cool things online for that. And then choosing other things like natural and reusable items to tie your gifts close, like jute twine, cotton yarn, things like, again, it's reusable, but it's also natural. And instead of like all those plastic ribbon and bows that we have out there. I still get plastic and ribbon and bows on gifts that people give me, so I try to reuse those, as much as possible before I throw them away, give them at least one more life. That's always a good method as well. And then lastly, just wanted to touch on holiday recycling. So this is not comprehensive, but just touching on some of the common things that we all get in our lives at this time of year. So gift wrap and holiday cards. So if it's plain gift wrap and it doesn't have all sorts of shiny or glitter things on them. So I've got some examples here. This is a glittery wrapping paper here. I actually have it inside a plastic bag because it's shedding glitter everywhere. But please don't recycle that or anything with like this shiny metallic type foil on it. That stuff is not recyclable, unfortunately. But if it's just plain colored or or even natural, like a craft brown grocery bag type paper, that can be recycled. Or newspaper, as I mentioned earlier, that can be recycled. Same thing goes for the holiday cards that you get. So if it's just a plain card, that's fine. You can recycle it. But if it has anything on it like glitter or metal, like shiny gold or silver foil, or I've seen things that have like little ribbons glued on them or little plastic gems and all sorts of stuff. If it has a bunch of junk on it, it needs to get thrown away. And then again, those plastic ribbons and bows and all of that stuff, that all needs to be thrown away. It can't be recycled. I'm sure a lot of people are doing some online shopping as well. So I always recommend with all the packaging that you get, try to reuse it first. That's always the best method. If you can't reuse it, try to recycle what you can. So your standard cardboard shipping boxes are recyclable. Just make sure you empty and flatten them before you put them in your curbside recycling. Don't include any styrofoam or plastic bags or bubble wrap or anything like that. And paper as well. I've been noticing that a lot of stuff is coming using this, paper instead of plastic, to wrap cushion the things in the box. And this is recyclable, so that's good. Bubble wrap and air pillows. So these kinds of, these pillows, inflated air pillows that we have, if you deflate them, you can take them to a store drop-off to be recycled. So they will recycle it there. Grocery stores that are recycling their grocery bags, this stuff can go in with the grocery bags and get recycled. Bubble wrap is a little bit tricky. Not all of the store drop-offs will accept it. You have to look at the sign on their drop-off and make sure bubble wrap is acceptable. I always recommend trying to reuse it as much as possible before recycling it. And then, of course, all that other stuff like block styrofoam, foam sheets, and all sorts of other like plasticky weird stuff, that stuff needs to just get thrown away, unfortunately. Christmas trees. So once Christmas is done and you are done with your tree, if you have a real tree, make sure you take all of the decorations off and then check and make sure and see if your city does curbside pickup of the Christmas trees. Not every city does it, so double check first. You can also leave the tree in your yard. It's a great habitat for wildlife. Birds and other animals actually really love using a cut Christmas tree for shelter in the wintertime. And just let it naturally decompose in your backyard. You can kind of, as it breaks down, you could kind of cut the trunk, the bigger pieces, into smaller pieces and let it just keep breaking down in your yard naturally. Other plants and greenery, we get a lot of things during the holidays like poinsettias and amaryllis bulbs and boughs. People make garland and wreaths and things out of real greenery. All of that stuff can be composted if you have a backyard compost pile. The flower pots themselves that, a lot of the poinsettias and the amaryllis and stuff come in those plastic flower pots, and like they put that shiny metallic foil stuff around to make it look pretty. That stuff unfortunately cannot be recycled curbside. I recommend reusing those flower pots if you can. A lot of times if you can't reuse it, you can post it on your Buy Nothing group or on Facebook Marketplace for free, and people who are gardeners will reuse those pots to start plants and divide plants in the spring. Try to reuse those. Otherwise, they belong in the landfill. There are some take back programs at some local nurseries as well that you can check. It's a little varying. Lowe's used to have a great take back program, but we've been getting mixed messaging from them. It depends on which location you go to, whether or not they'll take them. Home Depot is the same way. So I recommend reusing as much as possible first. And then holiday lights, when your holiday lights break at you're putting them up and they're burned out or whatever. We take them year round here at the district in Garfield Heights. You can drop them off anytime. You don't have to make an appointment or anything. The zoo does a seasonal collection. The Metro Park Zoo does a seasonal collection. I believe they start in November and they run through the end of January. We combine what we collect here at the district with what the zoo collects, and they get some money from the recycling, and it goes towards their big cat conservation program. It's their Lights for Lions program. Your city service department may also collect them, so check your city service department. That might save you driving around. So and every once in a while, I've seen bins collecting them at like Home Depot or even a local hardware store. So kind of check those places out too, if you have anything like that. So, and lastly, how could I leave this without saying, bring your own bags? So they're not just for groceries. Obviously, we're doing a lot of food shopping at this time of year too. So definitely take them with you when you go grocery shopping. But I think a lot of people don't remember, maybe they've gotten in the habit of taking them for grocery shopping, but they're not remembering to take them when they go in other stores as well. So if you're doing other retail shopping, try to get in the habit of always having those bags in your car, grab one with you when you go to the store. And that is it for me. I see there's some stuff in the chat, and I am happy to answer any questions. Catherine shared, I shared a bunch of links that kind of go into a little bit more detail with some of the stuff that I just talked about. So those are all in the chat. And then if anybody has questions, you can either type in the chat, or do we want to allow people to just turn their mics on and ask questions too?
Sure, yeah, just go ahead and jump in if you have a question.
Okay. You're welcome, Jennifer.
Karen, I have a question. So I have a pile of like Christmas lights and Halloween lights that has been accumulating over the years, and I have known that they can be recycled, but I've just never taken that step. So now that I know that I can drop them at the zoo, this is wonderful. Do you like know what they do with that stuff? Like, do they strip down the wire and reuse the wire? Some of it's probably not recyclable, I'm imagining, but is it the wire that they're going for?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
great question. So yeah, so it's the metal, it's the wire inside that they're getting out. So there's some cool YouTube videos if you search for on YouTube, and you can find recycling holiday lights. And it goes through like a big shredder, and the plastic kind of flakes off. And most of them, what they do is they actually, all the shredded stuff gets put in like a big tank of water. The plastic coating on the wire floats to the top. They skim it off, the metal sinks, and then they get they get the metal that way, and that's how they separate it. And then all the little glass bulbs and stuff just kind of get pulverized into kind of dust. I don't think there's enough there that they actually can recover any of the glass to recycle it. So it's mainly the metal they're going after. So the most, copper wire, so it has a lot of value to it. Angel asked about batteries. So batteries is a great question. So it kind of depends on what kind of batteries you have. So we have a whole page on batteries on our website that I recommend that you check out. For regular alkaline batteries, they are technically not hazardous waste and you can throw them away. There are services that you can pay for that will take the alkaline batteries back. There is one place in Tremont called Battery Empire that will take all kinds of batteries, including alkaline batteries, and recycle them for you. We really want to be super careful about lithium ion batteries. Those are your, oh, thank you, Catherine, for posting the battery page. Lithium ion batteries are very dangerous and can start lots of fires. And those are in, all sorts of electronics these days, any kind of rechargeable battery. Again, depending on what you have. So the rechargeable batteries that go like on tools and things like that can go back to Home Depot and places like that. The smaller ones, we actually started taking batteries here at the district. You do have to make an appointment to bring them in with us because we don't want people leaving batteries that could potentially start a fire just randomly in our lobby. So you can call us and make an appointment if you have a lot of batteries and you want to bring them in, and we will help you process them and get them to the right place. So if you have specific questions about specific, it's complicated. Unfortunately, they're not, it kind of depends on what you have. But those are the most common ones most people have. And then I saw Catherine posted our computers and electronics page. And yes, Denise, great question. Again, your city service department may collect computers and electronics. A lot of cities do. It just kind of depends on the city. So check your city service department first. We collect them here at the district as well. There are a couple of local recyclers that you could do a direct drop off with them as well. So there's quite a few options for those. And even stores like Best Buy and places like that will take the computers and electronics back as well. So there's lots of options for those. And all of them are listed on that page that Catherine just posted.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
you're
so
welcome.
much, Carin.
Yeah.
This was amazing, and thank you to everyone who has attended. But before we wrap up, I do want to encourage you to attend our next Lunch and Learn, which is going to be on January 26th at noon. And we will have our partners at Solar United Neighbors here to talk about the solar co-op program that the county offers. This is the first time we're offering a special session just for county employees. So it'll be a little bit abbreviated, 30 minutes or so, but we do hope you'll attend that. We will post registration information on Infor in the coming weeks. And last, I do want to encourage you to think about starting a green team in your department or in your building or even on your floor. We're all in different spaces and we all do different things. So a green team is a great way to look at what you're doing here at work and figure out ways how you can be more sustainable here. And the number of green teams is growing pretty regularly, actually. Law Department was the sponsor today, so thank you so much for coming up with this great idea and launching this Lunch and Learn program. And I look forward to seeing everyone on January 26th. This will be available as a recording as well, and you will see that posted on Infor too if you want to revisit this or even share it with your coworkers. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone. And thank you, Carin, again, for your expertise. And thank you, Callie, for leading the law department through this great process and getting it started. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Happy holidays.